On the morning of September 11th, 2001, the sky over the United States was clear and blue. It was the kind of morning that made people feel safe. In New York City, the Twin Towers stood tall, catching the early sunlight. People rushed through subway stations with coffee in hand. Phones rang. Meetings were about to begin. Across the country, children were getting ready for school. Parents kissed them goodbye, promising to see them later. No one knew those promises would be broken. Inside the World Trade Center, thousands of people began their workday. Some were starting new jobs. Some were planning vacations. Some were thinking about dinner later that night. At airports, planes lifted off like they always had. Passengers buckled their seatbelts. Some slept. Some read newspapers. Some stared out the window, thinking about home. Everything felt normal. That is what made the tragedy so cruel. 8:46 a.m. The first shock. Without warning, a plane slammed into the North Tower. Fire and smoke exploded into the sky. People froze. Cars stopped. The city looked up in disbelief. Many believed it was an accident, a terrible mistake. Inside the building, confusion spread. People didn't know where to go. Phones were picked up with shaking hands. Some called loved ones. Some whispered prayers. Some said goodbye without knowing it was forever. 9:03 a.m. The truth revealed. 17 minutes later, a second plane struck the South Tower. In that moment, the world understood. This was not an accident. This was an attack. Fear spread across New York and across the world. Millions watched live on television, unable to believe what they were seeing. Parents clutched children. Strangers hugged strangers. Time seemed to stop. This attack did not come from nowhere. It was planned by a terrorist group called al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. For years, this group had grown in secret. They trained, they planned, they waited. They claimed they were fighting the United States over politics, wars, and influence in the Middle East. But the people they killed were not politicians, not soldiers. They were civilians, office workers, flight attendants, firefighters, parents, children. Innocent lives became targets. As panic filled the streets, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics ran inside the towers. They climbed dark stairwells. They carried heavy equipment. They knew the risk. But they went anyway, because people were trapped, because helping others mattered more than fear. Many never came back out. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. The ground shook. A massive cloud of dust swallowed the streets. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower fell. Two buildings that once defined the skyline were gone. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives that morning. Families watching from home screamed names at their televisions, hoping for answers that would never come. That same morning, another hijacked plane crashed into the Pentagon. And in Pennsylvania, passengers on Flight 93 learned the truth of what was happening. They made a choice. They fought back. They called loved ones. They said goodbye. They sacrificed themselves to stop another attack. Their courage saved countless lives. After the smoke cleared, hard questions began. Before September 11th, there were warnings. Intelligence agencies had pieces of information, signs that something was coming. But the pieces were not connected in time. Mistakes were made. Warnings were missed. Later investigations admitted this. Families were left asking, could this have been prevented? For many, that question still has no answer. The United States did not let the attack slide. Within weeks, America launched the war on terror. The goal was clear: destroy al-Qaeda, capture Osama bin Laden, prevent another attack. The US invaded Afghanistan, where al-Qaeda was operating. Wars followed, lives were lost, countries were changed forever. Some believed these actions brought safety. Others believed they created more pain. History still debates this. In 2011, nearly 10 years after 9/11, Osama bin Laden was found and killed. For some families, it brought a sense of closure. For others, it did not. Because justice cannot replace a parent. It cannot bring back a child. It cannot heal every wound. Many first responders later became sick from toxic air at Ground Zero. Some died years after the attacks. For them, justice felt slow and incomplete. Everything changed. Airports became stricter. Surveillance increased. Fear became part of daily life. But something else grew too. Unity, courage, sacrifice. For a moment, the world stood together in grief. September 11th was not just about buildings that fell. It was about people. Nearly 3,000 lives, each with a story, each with dreams, each deeply loved. Every year, names are read aloud. Moments of silence are observed. Light rises where the towers once stood, not to reopen wounds, but to remember. September 11th came from hatred. It revealed failures. It changed history. Justice came in pieces. Closure never fully did. But memory remains powerful, as long as we tell the full story, not just how it looked, but how it happened and what it cost. The lives lost on that day will never be forgotten. Now Reveal Zone asks you, when warnings exist but action comes too late, who do you think should be held responsible? How do we measure justice when innocent lives are taken, but nothing can truly bring them back? Share your thoughts in the comment section. I read every single one. Your voice matters, your opinion matters, and together we keep the conversation alive. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share.